Have you ever wondered why we behave the way we do? Why we follow the crowd, or why we may act out of character in certain situations? Human behavior is a complex and fascinating subject, and psychologists have been studying it for centuries. They conduct social experiments to delve into the depths of our minds to understand what makes us tick. In this video, we're going to explore some of these experiments, each revealing a different aspect of human behavior. From the power of conformity to the impact of roles on our identity, from our obedience to authority to our reluctance to help, each experiment provides a unique insight into our psyche. Understanding human behavior isn't just about satisfying our curiosity. It's also about learning how to navigate the world, how to interact with others, and how to make better decisions. We'll discover how easily we can be influenced by others, how quickly we can abandon our beliefs, and how we can learn to question, think critically, and trust our own perceptions. So, are you ready to delve into the mysteries of human behavior? Are you ready to see the world, and perhaps yourself, in a new light? Stay tuned as we unravel the mysteries of human behavior through some of the most eye-opening social experiments ever conducted. Imagine everyone around you is saying the sky is green. Would you doubt your own eyes? Well, that's exactly what psychologist Solomon Asch asked in the 1950s. He wanted to delve into the power of conformity, to understand how the pressure from a group can make us question our own perceptions. Asch conducted a series of experiments, where he showed a group of people a line and asked them to match it with one of 3 lines shown on another card. The catch was that all but one participant were in on the experiment. They were instructed to give the wrong answer. The results were astonishing. A significant number of the subjects agreed with the incorrect majority, even when the correct answer was clear as day. They conformed to the group's opinion, despite their own senses telling them it was wrong. You might be thinking, surely I wouldn't fall for that. But the truth is, we're social creatures. We're hardwired to fit in, to belong. This instinct is so powerful that it can make us question our own judgment. But why? Why would we go against what we know to be true? That's because we often rely on the group for information. We assume that if everyone else is saying the sky is green, they must know something we don't. Moreover, we fear being the odd one out. We dread the disapproval, the ridicule, the isolation that comes with standing against the crowd. So we conform. We go along with the majority even when we know it's wrong. The aschconformity experiments shine a light on the power of social influence. They show us how easily we can be swayed, how quickly we can abandon our own beliefs to align with those of the group. But they also serve as a reminder to question, to think critically, to trust our own perceptions. Because sometimes the crowd is wrong, sometimes the sky isn't green, it's blue. It's remarkable, isn't it, how easily we can be swayed by the crowd. Would you inflict pain if someone in a lab coat told you to? This provocative question led psychologist Stanley Milgram to conduct a groundbreaking experiment in the 60s, aptly named the Milgram obedience experiment. The setup was simple. Participants were led to believe they were part of a study on learning and memory, where they were assigned the role of teachers.
It is May 1962. An experiment is being conducted in the Elegant Interaction Laboratory at Yale University. The subjects are 40 males between the ages of 20 and 50 residing in the greater New Haven area.
Psychologists have developed several theories to explain how people learn. One theory is that people learn things correctly whenever they get punished for making a mistake.
2/3 of volunteers were prepared to administer a potentially fatal electric shock when encouraged to do so by what they perceived as a legitimate authority figure. In this case, a man in a white coat.
375 volts. I think something's happened to that fellow in there. I don't get no answer. He was hollering with less voltage. Can't you check in to see if he's all right, please?
The twist? The learner was an actor, and the shocks were fictitious. However, the participants believed they were real. As the learner began to answer incorrectly more frequently, the teacher was instructed to increase the shock level, leading to the learner's cries of pain. When participants hesitated or expressed discomfort, an authoritative figure in a lab coat would assure them it was essential to continue for the sake of the experiment. The results were stunning. A whopping 65% of participants continued to administer the highest level of shock, despite their visible distress and the apparent suffering of the learner.
This one will be 195 volts. The correct one.
Let me out of here.
Slow. Dance.
Let me out of here. My heart's bothering me. Let me out of here. You have no right to keep me here. Let me out. Let me out of here. Let me out.
Continue, please.
Let me out of here. My eyes bother me. Let
Go
me
on.
out. Let me
I'm
out.
responsible for it. Red. That is incorrect. This will be at 3:30.
Ow!
The correct phrase is rich
Let me out of here.
boy.
Let me out of here. My heart's bothering me. Let me out, I tell you. Let me out of here. Let me out of here. You have no right to hold me
The
here.
next phrase is
Let me
fast,
out. Let me out. Let me out. Let me out of here. Let me out.
bird,
Let me
car, train, plane.
Eventually, the learner pretended to be unconscious.
Continue, teacher.
That is incorrect. This will be 3:45. The correct answer is fast, bird.
What we learned from that experiment is that people will actually do an awful lot when they're put under pressure from authority figures.
So, what does this say about us? Are we all just puppets dancing on the strings pulled by those in power? Does our moral compass get lost in the face of authority? The Milgram experiment suggests that the pressure to obey can be so strong that it overrides our sense of right and wrong. It's a chilling reminder of the atrocities that can occur when individuals relinquish responsibility under the guise of just following orders. However, it's also a call to action, to question, to challenge, to engage our moral judgment instead of blindly following directives. Because it's a terrifying truth, most of us obey authority, even when it goes against our conscience. What if your summer job turned you into a tyrant? Imagine signing up for a psychological study, only to find yourself cast in a role that brings out your darkest impulses. That's exactly what happened in the infamous Stanford prison experiment. In the summer of 1971, psychologist Philip Zimbardo recruited 24 male students for a 2-week experiment. Half were randomly assigned to play the role of prison guards, the other half, prisoners. The aim? To understand the psychological effects of perceived power, focusing on the struggle between prisoners and prison officers. The results were nothing short of horrifying. The guards quickly embraced their roles, enforcing authoritarian measures and subjecting the prisoners to psychological torture. The prisoners, in turn, passively accepted the abuse, even when it violated their personal rights. Within just 6 days, the experiment had spiraled so out of control that it had to be terminated early. The students had become so entrenched in their roles that they had lost their sense of self and, with it, their moral compass. The experiment showed how quickly and easily individuals could be swayed by the power of authority and role assignment. However, the Stanford prison experiment is not without its controversies. Critics argue that the participants were merely playing to the roles they were given, influenced by their understanding of how they were expected to behave. Others raise ethical concerns, questioning whether the emotional trauma inflicted on the participants was justified. But regardless of these debates, the experiment serves as a stark reminder of the power of situations and assigned roles in shaping behavior. It underscores how easily individuals can slip into cruelty and dehumanization when placed in the right or perhaps wrong circumstances. So next time you find yourself in a position of power, remember the Stanford prison experiment. Remember how quickly authority can corrupt and how easily roles can become reality. It's a chilling look at the dark side of authority. Ever see someone in trouble and think, someone else will help? That's more common than you might think. And it's a phenomenon known as the bystander effect. This term was coined by social psychologists John Darley and Bibb Latané in the late 60s, following the tragic case of Kitty Genovese, a young woman whose assault was reportedly ignored by numerous witnesses. The bystander effect refers to the decrease in likelihood of a person intervening in an emergency situation when other people are present. It seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? You'd think that the more people there are, the more help would be available. But ironically, the opposite is true. The crux of the bystander effect lies in the diffusion of responsibility. When we're in a crowd, we tend to think that someone else will step up, or that our own action isn't necessary because there are others who could help. This diffusion of responsibility can sometimes lead to inaction, even in dire situations.
Liverpool Street Station in London, a busy thoroughfare for commuters. Unknown to these passers-by, Peter is an actor. As part of an experiment on bystander apathy, he's pretending to be ill. Ruth, another actor, takes Peter's place. How long before she receives help? 4 minutes later, and 34 people have passed without stopping. This woman has clearly spotted Ruth, but she conforms to the rule and does nothing. Watch what happens, though, when someone else helps.
You alright? You alright?
Yes, thank you.
Sure, you look a bit clicky, you know what I mean?
She suddenly finds herself in a different group with a new rule: to help.
You want to sit up?
She don't look well, does she?
You alright, yeah? What's wrong?
First I thought she was dead. Then I sort of checked to see if she was breathing or not. And I looked around and I couldn't believe that no one had noticed her, because there was a bloke sat there just absorbed in reading a newspaper.
This time, Peter's dressed as a respectable gentleman. Now that his dress is in keeping with those around him, how long before he's rescued?
Hello, sir. How are you today?
I'm alright.
6 seconds. She even calls him sir, and suddenly everyone's a good Samaritan.
Do you suffer from epilepsy?
No.
Why you're lying on the floor in the rain?
Because he's part of the right group, everyone wants to help.
So what's the takeaway? Awareness of the bystander effect and understanding its mechanisms is the first step to overcoming it. It's a call to action for each of us to recognize our own responsibility in helping others, and not to rely on the assumption that someone else will take the lead. Whether it's an emergency situation, a social issue, or simply lending a hand to someone in need, remember that your action matters. Ultimately, the bystander effect teaches us a valuable lesson about our role in society. We are not just passive observers, but active participants with the power to make a difference. It's a wake-up call about taking responsibility. But there's hope. Let's take a moment to delve into the Robbers Cave experiment, a fascinating study that paints an optimistic picture of human behavior. This experiment was conducted in the 1950s by social psychologist Muzaffar Sharif. It involved 22 12-year-old boys at a summer camp in Robbers Cave State Park, Oklahoma. The boys were divided into 2 groups, the Rattlers and the Eagles, neither of which were aware of the other's existence. The first phase of the experiment was designed to encourage bonding within each group through shared activities and goals. Once the group identities were established, the experiment moved into the competition phase. The groups were pitted against each other in a series of contests, which quickly led to hostility and aggression. The Rattlers and the Eagles saw each other as enemies, and the camp became a battleground. But here's where the real magic happened. The experiment entered its final phase, the integration stage. Sharif introduced a series of problems that required both groups to work together to solve. There was a water shortage, a stalled truck, and a movie night with a broken projector. The shared challenges led to a remarkable transformation. The boys began cooperating, helping each other, and eventually even eating together. The hostility evaporated, replaced by camaraderie and mutual respect. The Robbers Cave experiment demonstrated the powerful role of common goals in overcoming prejudice and conflict. When we face shared challenges, we can transcend our differences and work together. We can shift from seeing each other as enemies to recognizing each other as allies. This experiment is a testament to our capacity for cooperation and unity. It's a reminder that, despite our conflicts and disagreements, we share a common humanity. It teaches us that when we focus on what unites us rather than what divides us, we can transform hostility into harmony. When facing shared challenges, we can overcome prejudice and find common ground. 1 marshmallow now, or 2 later? This seemingly simple question forms the crux of a fascinating experiment known as the marshmallow test. The premise is straightforward, yet its implications are far-reaching. In the marshmallow test, young children were placed in a room with a single marshmallow. They were given a choice. They could either eat the marshmallow immediately or wait for a short period of time, usually 15 minutes, and receive 2 marshmallows as a reward for their patience. What this experiment was really testing, though, was the children's capacity for delayed gratification, their ability to resist an immediate reward in favor of a larger one in the future. It was a test of willpower, of the ability to control impulses, and it's a trait that can have significant implications throughout a person's life. The results of the marshmallow test were revealing. The children who were able to resist the temptation of the immediate reward and wait for the larger one tended to fare better in life as they grew older. These children were more likely to achieve higher academic scores, maintain healthier body weights, and even exhibit greater social competence. But why is this? The ability to delay gratification to exert self-control is a fundamental aspect of success. It's the ability to set goals and work towards them, to resist distractions and stay focused, to make choices that may be difficult in the short term but beneficial in the long run. And it's a skill that can be developed and strengthened over time, just like a muscle. Delayed gratification is more than just a test with marshmallows, it's a window into the power of willpower, a testament to the strength of self-control. It's a reminder that the choices we make, the impulses we resist, can shape our futures in profound ways. So the next time you're faced with a choice between an immediate reward or a larger one down the line, remember the marshmallow test. Ask yourself, 1 marshmallow now or 2 later? Turns out those who can resist temptation as kids have an edge in life later on. Were you shocked? Challenged? As we draw to the end of our exploration into human behavior through the lens of these 6 thought-provoking social experiments, it's time to reflect on what we've learned. Each experiment, from the Asch conformity experiment to the marshmallow test, has peeled back a layer of our complex human nature, giving us a glimpse into the hidden forces that shape our actions and decisions. The Asch conformity experiment, for instance, revealed the powerful influence of social pressure and how it can lead us to question our own senses and truths. It's a potent reminder of the sway our environment and peers can have over us, and the lengths we might go to fit in. Then there's the chilling Stanford prison experiment, which demonstrated how power dynamics and assigned roles can warp our personalities, turning ordinary people into oppressors. It's a stark testament to the dark side of authority and the need for checks and balances in any system. Through the Milgram obedience experiment, we saw the unsettling extent to which we are willing to obey authority, even when it goes against our moral compass. It underscores the importance of cultivating critical thinking and ethical judgment, and not just blindly following orders. The bystander effect, on the other hand, showed us how our sense of responsibility can diminish in a crowd, leading to inaction when help is needed. It's a wake-up call for us to break away from the crowd and take the initiative to help when we can. Yet, we also saw the brighter side of human nature in the Robbers Cave experiment, which proved that our divisions and prejudices can be overcome through shared challenges and cooperation. It gives us hope that despite our differences, we can find common ground and work towards a common goal. And finally, the marshmallow test highlighted the power of willpower and delayed gratification in shaping our future success. It's a gentle nudge for us to cultivate patience and perseverance, traits that can give us an edge in the long run. These experiments aren't just about quirks, they're about understanding ourselves, the good, the bad, and how to build a better world. They remind us of the complexities of human behavior and the impact our actions can have on ourselves and others. They challenge us to question our assumptions, to examine our own behavior, and to strive for a better understanding of ourselves and those around us. They prompt us to become more aware, more compassionate, and more responsible individuals. So which experiment hit you the hardest? Was it the stark reality of the Stanford prison experiment, the hopeful message of the Robbers Cave experiment, or perhaps the sweet simplicity of the marshmallow test? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Discuss in the comments and like and subscribe for more explorations of the human mind.